And so I write this letter, like I said, this kind of innocent, kind of like, I'm bi, but I want you to know that I, kind of maybe have feelings that are, more than your feelings or whatever. Poor Arnaud had no idea what to do with this information. Different culture, it just completely was clueless. But he knew all my friends. We were all kind of tight for that period of time. So first he made up something about having been with one of my good friends in Malibu when she was house sitting to deflect. I don't blame the guy. And that didn't really work. So he told my girlfriend, and he showed her the letter. Again, at his wit's end, I don't blame him. Of course, my girlfriend read it. Thank God she was the first to read it. And so I'm sure her mindset was, okay, I get, this is like, I don't want to say it's not news to me, but something like that. But then, the other two were so tight that you can't really, everything is written on our faces. So she ends up sharing it with the partner in crime, bestie, loving, who's also, pretty level-headed. She'd be like, what? Whatever, I don't know. That was just how she rolled. And then the third bestie got wind of it. So it went from him to his kind of fracas about it, to giving it and showing it to my girlfriend, to her telling my second bestie, and then that second bestie telling my third bestie. So here's the point of this story, and I'll try to wrap it up here. But I had only been called an FAG on the first day of 7th grade. I went to, as I've said ad nauseum, an all-black school in 4th grade. That was never an issue. I was as girly as hell. There wasn't even an inference or a sidelong glance. So I go into 7th grade, I'm called an FAG for the first time ever. And I didn't know what to do with that. I mean, except, as I've said, that within a year came that 14th year again that I can't live down, where I was tearing up the town in every which way. And that decided this is not happening anymore. If you're gonna call me an FAG, we got problems, because I'm raging and I got friends. So don't do that. So no one did. And guess what? When that letter went out to my crushable bestie guy, industry person, and he was stymied, and he showed it to my girlfriend, who's chill, and then she showed it to my other partner in crime, bestie. She was chill. I mean, whether it was or it wasn't, it was like, whatever. Some guy wrote, I don't know, move along. Nothing to see here. But when it got to my third bestie, now again, we are tight, like, from 14, inseparable. Again, our names were one string of names in one word. They were I can't say it, but it was one person. So what was the shocker to me that shook me to the core, and I'll tell you why, was when that person found out, that third bestie, her reaction when she called me and asked me and confronted me about it, I denied it. Made up some foggy ass thing about that's, I don't know, blah, 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 blah. And her reaction, she said, oh good, because I thought you were an FAG. Meaning that based on the information she got in secondhand about the letter, that what she wanted at that moment to communicate to me is she was glad that I deflected any truth to the letter, because she was scared that she thought I was an FAG. That was the second time in my life that word had been directed at me. And what it did was it pulled a very old tape. And I'll tell you why, and I'll leave you with this, because it's just, again, it was beyond a trigger. To have your best friend, one of your best friends, say, oh, I'm glad the rumor I heard was not true because I was afraid you were an FAG. That being the second time in my life, and I have moved through like this best friend, closest ever relationship with one of the three, And then at 16 or whatever, 16 and a half, I don't know, she tells me that she's glad the rumor wasn't true because she's glad I wasn't an FAG. That was an avalanche for me. I realized in that moment that this ambiguity of 14 flirting accidentally and this, that, and the other, hiding my essays, was enough. I could be straight. But now I have my bestie. I had not come out to anybody. And she's telling me she was afraid I was an FAG. What that did is, what it did was when I told my dad that I had lost my virginity to a 31-year-old, his reaction was, I'm glad to hear that because I thought you might be gay. So when she said that, it pulled me right back to being 14, and the colossal, profound disappointment and anger and sadness that hit me in that moment when my dad said that hit me again with a supposed best friend. Now, I don't blame her. You know, she has faith that contradicts some things and maybe gave her a struggle in that moment, if you know what I mean. She's, you know, baptized, let's say. So I don't know, it's just sort of left like that. Like, it was never really the same after that between she and I. Maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe there was sort of an invisible disconnect that snapped or cracked or closed up. It certainly didn't heal up for many years. But anyway, that's kind of a you know, slice of what it was like to be closeted in high school. There was all kinds of other nuances and activities and events and all kinds of things that dovetail into that subject, but I thought I would just share kind of maybe the, I don't know, 3 most remarkable to me. So there you go, there they are. I know I take a long time with my goodbyes, but I gotta remember to tell you that we have a twister coming up real soon, real soon. So with that, I bid you adieu, and I hope you, I don't know, are well until what, 6 or 8 hours before I barf out the next clip. Okay, I love you guys for putting up with me, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.